Praxis Precision Medicines Inc. is currently trading at $305.05 USD, reflecting a massive intraday jump of 13.42% today, December 29, 2025. While most traders were looking at the holiday-thinned volume across the broader indices, this biotech mover just received a massive endorsement from the federal government that few saw coming this quickly. The reality of the situation is that the Food and Drug Administration just granted breakthrough therapy designation for ulixacaltamide in the treatment of essential tremor. This is a huge shift from the typical expectation where clinical stage companies spend years in a regulatory limbo. Many investors on platforms like Interactive Brokers and the Fidelity trading platform were waiting for a standard progression, but today's news effectively puts this drug on a fast track that could significantly shorten the time to market. This creates a curiosity loop because, while everyone knows essential tremor is a massive market, the speed at which the regulatory agency responded to the Essential 3 data suggests the results were far more compelling than the public initially realized. The common belief about Praxis was that it was a high-risk play with a long path toward a new drug application. The expectation was a steady, quiet period of preparation throughout the first quarter of next year. Instead, the reality we are seeing today is an aggressive acceleration. This isn't just about a label. This designation means the development process will involve more frequent meetings and intensive guidance from the agency, which often leads to a higher probability of success. If you were looking at your individual brokerage account today, you are seeing a stock that has defied the gravity of the broader biotech sector. While some are searching for investment help on various investing sites, the smart move is to look at how the institutional desks are reacting. We are seeing institutional activity spike as the market begins to price in a higher terminal value for the tremor franchise. Looking at the intraday chart, the movement has been explosive from the opening bell. After starting the day with high volatility, the price is stabilized above the $300 mark, showing that the sellers who wanted to take profits at the new 52-week high were quickly absorbed by buyers. This kind of strength is usually reserved for a select few names like Nvidia stock or Apple stock when they beat earnings, but here it is happening in a mid-cap biotech. The volume today is significantly higher than the average, suggesting that this isn't just retail enthusiasm on the Robinhood app, but a fundamental repositioning by larger funds. When you see this kind of sustained momentum, it tells you that the market is shifting its perspective from if this company will have a product to when and how much it will earn. The core of the excitement today lies in the Essential 3 program. For months, the narrative was that the trial was a success, but people were skeptical about the safety profile or the consistency of the data. Today's news challenges that skepticism. The government does not hand out breakthrough status unless there is preliminary clinical evidence showing the drug may offer a substantial improvement over existing options. Right now, there is basically only one drug approved for essential tremor, and it's decades old with a lot of side effects. The reality of ulixacaltamide is that it targets a specific calcium channel in the brain to stop the firing that causes shakes. If it succeeds, it could be the first new treatment for this condition in over a half-century. This is why investors using Schwab Intelligent Portfolios or SoFi Active Investing are suddenly paying attention to a ticker that was under the radar for much of last year. Before this latest rally, the general sentiment was cautious. Many felt that because of the previous failures in the CNS space, Praxis would have to jump through significantly more hoops. However, the company has recently completed its pre-NDA meeting with the regulator, and the feedback was positive enough to lead to this morning's announcement. This is a classic example of the market underestimating the strength of a clinical package. When the expectation is a long slog and the reality is a fast track, the price reacts usually exactly like we are seeing now. It's a complete repricing of risk. If you are doing your own online investing or self-investing, you need to recognize that the floor for this stock has likely moved up significantly. Comment below how many shares of PRAX you currently hold, or if you are looking to enter a position at these new highs. To understand why this move is so significant, we have to look at what Praxis actually does as a business. They are a clinical-stage biopharmaceutical company focused on genetic insights to develop therapies for central nervous system disorders. Their model isn't just about throwing darts at a board. They use a proprietary platform to identify specific neuronal imbalances. In the case of ulixacaltamide, they are looking at the cerebello-thalamo-cortical circuit. It sounds technical, but the business reality is simple. They are trying to find the precise biological switch that is broken in patients with tremors or epilepsy and fix it without affecting the rest of the brain. This precision is what sets them apart from the old-school drugs that essentially just sedate the patient. Beyond the tremor drug, the company is also making massive strides in the epilepsy space. They recently announced plans to file another new drug application for relutrigine in early 2026. This would cover rare forms of pediatric epilepsy. They also have elsunersen in the pipeline, which just got a simplified trial design approval from the regulators. This means the company is not a one-trick pony. They are building a diversified portfolio of CNS assets, which is exactly what a long-term investor looks for when scanning Fidelity mutual funds or Fidelity ETFs for healthcare exposure. The business model is shifting from pure research and development to a commercial-ready organization. This transition is usually where the most significant value is created, but also where the execution risk is highest. In terms of financial health, the company reported their third-quarter results recently, showing a cash position that gives them several quarters of runway. While they are still burning cash as most biotech firms do, the recent stock price appreciation gives them a lot of leverage if they decide to do a secondary offering to fund their commercial launch. Investors using Interactive Brokers Trading or the Robinhood stock trading platform often feared dilution, but in this context, raising capital would likely be seen as a sign of strength to prepare for a multi-billion-dollar launch. The sector momentum for biotech has been turning positive lately, and Praxis is leading the charge in the neuroscience subsector. If we look at the macroeconomic pressures, the interest rate environment remains a factor for high-growth, pre-revenue companies. However, the specific clinical milestones here are so strong that they are decoupling Praxis from the broader market volatility. While Tesla stock might move based on interest rate expectations or political news, Praxis is moving on data. This is why many people prefer online investment in biotech during periods of economic uncertainty. The risk is high, but it is binary and tied to things that happen in a lab rather than things that happen in a central bank. The future outlook for this company is now centered on the early 2026 filing window. We are looking at a potential reality where Praxis has 2 major drugs under review by the end of next year. That is an incredibly rare position for a company of this size. The catalysts to watch from here will be the finalization of the NDA package and any potential partnership deals. Often large pharmaceutical companies will step in to buy companies like this once the regulatory path is cleared. Whether they stay independent or get acquired, the valuation is being fundamentally rewritten today. The risk remains that the final review could bring up issues not seen in the top-line data, but the breakthrough status suggests the regulators are already very familiar with the safety profile. As we wrap up this analysis, it's clear that the contrast between what people expected from Praxis and the reality of their regulatory success is what is driving this 13% gain. We started the day at a high level, and we have maintained that strength despite the intraday swings. The breakthrough designation is a stamp of approval that changes the entire investment thesis for anyone using a Fidelity mobile app or Robinhood Investments to track their portfolio. You are no longer looking at a speculative biotech. You are looking at a company that is being fast-tracked to help 7 million people in the United States alone. The central insight is that Praxis has managed to de-risk its most valuable asset in a way the market didn't fully price in yesterday. The reality of the FDA's support has completely overshadowed the expectation of a slow clinical cycle. We've seen institutional buyers step in heavily today, which usually suggests that this price level is the new baseline rather than a temporary peak. Between the Tremor franchise and the epilepsy pipeline, the company has multiple paths to success. Whether you are using SoFi Invest for your retirement or managing an individual brokerage through Interactive Brokers, the lesson here is that in biotech, data is king and regulatory support is the crown. The next 12 months will be the most critical in the company's history as they move from a lab-based entity to a commercial powerhouse. Keep a close eye on the volume and the institutional filings over the next few weeks to see if the big money continues to accumulate at these levels. The story of Praxis today is a reminder that when the reality of clinical success meets an accelerated regulatory pathway, the upside can be sudden and permanent. Financial disclaimer. This analysis is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. Investing in clinical-stage biopharmaceutical companies involves significant risk, including the potential loss of principal. Always conduct your own research and consult with a certified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Don't forget to like this post, leave a comment with your thoughts on PRAX, and subscribe for more deep-dive biotech analysis.